Phil Kaiser. He's the front man for Beep Time, Beep Line Band.
Okay.
And you get John Nagel's thing?
I used to.
Well, you still do. He's the one that's doing it. It's going to be through Kaiser's visor now.
Oh, I just didn't know who it was. They acted like you knew me or not.
Well, you're so goddamn famous.
Well, you're right. Don't pay any attention to it.
You better, so he answers my questions or I'll look stupid. I can do that without anybody.
You don't need him here to make you look stupid.
Go sit down.
You ready?
You heard of Howdy Bell?
Nope. Not a
That's
clue.
Howdy Bell. He's a Hall of Fame announcer. He's been on radio for 60 years.
Nice.
Welcome to the Autosportradio.com 2019 show. I'm your host, Don Kay. We are live from McGillivray Speedway at 30th and High School in the beautiful town of Speedway, Indiana. And when you come into town in April and May for various and sundry reasons, be sure and make McGillivrays one of your stops. You got great service, great waitress people, wait staff. The food is excellent, and of course the adult beverages are ice cold. Tonight's show is presented by Honda and Honda HPD, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, NTT IndyCar Series, and SVRA. A couple of things I got to mention. First off, there's a young lady in the audience that had a birthday on Sunday. She celebrated the 58th anniversary of her 21st birthday, Mary Timmis. Happy birthday. I talked to Jane Ligori the end of last week, and Ralphie the Racer is not well. He's still in a nursing home, or assisted living, I guess. But he should be home in the next sometime this week, I believe. And they have everything prepared in his house because he lives in Florida in an elevated house. So once he gets up the stairs, about the only way to get down is to fall down. So he should be going home. And in case you hadn't heard, May 23rd, if you haven't been to the Hoosier 100 recently, you need to go. May 23rd is going to be the last Hoosier 100 at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. So make a note of it. And next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow, at the Indiana State Museum is the honoring of the one and the only Mr. I just forgot his name. Dick Jordan. Dick Jordan celebrating his 50th year with USAC. And they will have a party for him on Wednesday at the museum. And on Tuesday night, there's a bevy of USAC drivers will be at the Speedway Museum as well. That's Tuesday night, next Tuesday. I don't know why they keep doing it on Tuesdays, but we'll be there. Dave Darlin will be there, and there's a number of other drivers that you will all know. If you get a chance, stop on by. You get to talk to them, see them, and giggle with them. My next guest next week, the first one I have lined up, is the newest inductee into the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Hall of Fame. He's been inducted into the Hall of Fame, and well, he should be, along with Dan Weldon, Bob Jenkins, and Bob will be here next week. Very deserving guy. I called him up to congratulate him, and he was sitting in Arizona watching a baseball preseason game. I thought, well, that wasn't nice. Didn't invite me. If you haven't yet been to the museum, you need to get there before the 21st of April to see the Hoosier Thunder, Indiana Short Track Heritage. Great show, and you will love it when you see it. If you have a dental problem and you need dental work, do what I do, what Sharon's done, and what Eldon has done, and what a number of people have done. Go see Dr. Jack Miller. He and Dr. Liz Lewis have a phenomenal practice. Call for an appointment. Number 317-846-6125. And if your computer giving you problems, that's not a problem. Go see Jack at Computer Overdrive. It's on the northeast corner of Lyndhurst and Crawfordsville Road. They can fix it. It's the home of the free checkup. They'll look at it, tell you what's wrong, and fix it. Also, you've heard me talk about this rubby band. It's called, I don't know, they got some kind of name, Beep Line. I don't know what that means. But one of the members of the band is sitting here tonight, and he's paid me $100 to mention it, so I will do that. This Saturday, they're going to be at Britain Tavern in Noblesville. On the 27th, they'll be here at McGillivrays. On the 18th of May, they'll be at Free Spirit in Castleton. On the 31st, they'll be at George's on the northeast side. June the 8th, they will return to McGilvery's. On the 13th, they'll be at the White River Yacht Club. And now they're getting really big. I think, hey, Phil, are you bringing your boat there? Is that why you bringing your boat over there? Okay. The June 25th, they'll be at Mikey's in Beech Grove. And the 28th, they'll be at Free Spirit again up in Castleton. I got to tell you, we have been honored on a number of occasions to have some world champions come here. Antron Brown, a 3-time Top Fuel world champion. John Force has been here, a funny car world champion. Andrew Hines has been here, a Pro Stock motorcycle champion. But tonight we're going to have another world champion in a different sport, but it's still racing and it's still fast and it could be dangerous. He won the world title in Thailand. Now, why the hell he couldn't go up to Wisconsin in some lake and what is beyond me, but they went over there and he beat a guy who has been world champion 20 plus times. So here he is. He's got a brother who probably you have heard of, but we ain't talking about him. We're going to talk about. Please welcome Mr. Christian Daly. Now, I don't know if it's crossed your mind, but you come from a family. Your father was a Formula One and IndyCar driver. Your brother's been the Road to Indy program, won everything going on into that, and he's into IndyCar now. What are you doing in the water?
I mean, I don't know. It's something that my mom did way back in the day. And
no, she's not that old. It wasn't that long.
Well, I mean, yeah, okay.
All right.
Anyways, yeah, I mean, it's crazy that I'm doing it on the water. It's something that like I said, my mom did. And it's not that I necessarily wanted to follow in her footsteps. It was just, it was something, it was racing, and I took to it. As soon as I got on the boat, I instantly felt at home, and I was like, you know what, I think this is for me.
Obviously, it's for you. If anybody looked at the notification I put out on Facebook and on my website, you've won a lot of titles, championships, nationally and world championships. So it's not something you just tripped on and won this year by accident. You have won a number of titles leading up to this world championship in Thailand.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's taken a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication. As soon as I started, I knew what I wanted to. My goal was to win the title in Thailand, and that was for sure what I went for. And I went over to Thailand, and I essentially took care of business against the 20-time world champion, and I loved every bit of it.
How do they race like cars do? Or you have a circle and you run 6 or 8 of them at a time you run, or you run one at a time against the clock?
Yeah, so basically what it is bear with me, it can be kind of confusing at first, but it's similar to Supercross. You have roughly about, I would say, 10 to 15 people on a line, and you have a flagger up in a tower, and he's got a rubber band. There's a rubber band across the line, and you have 2 holders that are holding the back of your boat as you're roughly at about a quarter throttle. And you watch the flagger up top. He's got a card. It's got a 1 and a 2. And as soon as it drops sideways, that band will snap anywhere from 2 to 5 seconds. So it's really who's got the fastest reaction time on that band as soon as it snaps. And the course, the best way I can explain it is it's basically a road course on water. So all 10 to 15 of you are going to one buoy. So you can imagine, 10 to 15 boats with no brakes doing 65 to 80 miles an hour roughly. It can be pretty crazy, let alone the water spraying you in the face. So then as soon as everyone hopefully clears that first buoy, it's into a road course on water, basically left, right turns all the way across the course. So
that crossed my mind when I was reading your bio. And I'm thinking, if a guy gets ahead of you and he's a horse's potato, you got water coming in your face because they spew a big behind you.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you see through that, or do you have to move and get out of the way?
Yeah, so basically if I'm stuck behind somebody, I do what it's called like an over-under. It's similar to anything in racing. So if he's on the inside, I'm going to be slightly to the outside, and he's going to cut it. He's going to cut the turn a little outside, and then I'm going to dive on the inside of him. So basically over-under, and I just try to stay out of his wash because the more I stay out of his wash, the more my pump is going to be hooked up, driving me so I can propel a lot faster in the water. So that's really it in a nutshell on how do you stay out of the wash.
I knew that. Carl and I have been sitting here saying, yeah, that's what we thought too. Absolutely. What kind of vehicle, jet ski, do you use? Can you modify them? Is there anything you can do to try and be faster, up the horsepower, or allow it to get through the water, grab more water and push you? How much can you do?
So they try to make it as even as possible. So I race runabout class. Runabouts are, if you go to your local power sports dealership, is basically the jet ski or runabout that you can buy right off the showroom floor. And really the only thing you can do for handling is you can put an intake grate up on the bottom that has a bigger scoop. You can scoop more water into the pump. You can do an ECU flash. And then really that's all. I mean, they want to make it as even as possible so it comes down to pure talent when you're out there.
That's no fair.
I love it.
Now there's two classes. This is the one of the showroom floor type thing. What's the next one, which is a level up, I'm sure?
Yeah, so the showroom floor runabout, so there's two classes. I race runabout and I race sport class. So sport class is really, it's an older boat that was produced back in the day, but you are basically restoring the entire thing. So you put all brand new parts, brand new engine, brand new everything into it. And it's sport GP, so you can put a 2-stroke into it, you can put a 4-stroke into it. It's almost like a sport open class, basically run what you brung, if you will. And those boats get out of control. When you want to see somebody flying off a jet ski, you watch that class for sure.
Can you work on the engine instead of a stock that you put in would be 150 horsepower? Can you tweak it to be 175 or 200 horse?
Yeah, for sure. My engine's right around 210, 220. To be honest, it's really up to my engine builder. I have a guy, Tim Judge. He builds all my engines, so I listen to him. I just say, hey, look, this is the class I'm racing, and he goes, okay, perfect. I got the perfect setup for you, and I send him off an engine, and I get it back, and it's ready to go.
What part of this restoration or so forth do you get involved in? Do you help with any building so you understand what's there?
Yes, yeah. So the Sport GP class, basically, Tim Judge will build the engine, and he'll send it back to me, and now it's up to me to put the whole thing together. So, I mean, I do basically, it's like restoring an old car. I mean, from the ground up, we would say from the hull up. The hull is the shell of the ski. So I'm essentially building the entire ski from the hull up as soon as I get the engine back.
What propels it? Is it air being pushed out or water being pushed through?
So it's a big pump with a like a three-blade prop in there, and it's basically an intake track on the bottom of the ski, and you have a scoop. You can have a small scoop, a big scoop, depending on how much hookup you want or how much handling you want. And basically the water just gets pushed up into the pump, and it just creates thrust as the drive shaft is turning the prop in the pump on the bottom, and that's what propels you forward.
So do you have to coordinate the amount of water coming in so you don't put more in than the pump can handle, obviously?
Yeah. So, I mean, on the sport boat, not really, but when you get into the runabout boats and you get into runabout GP, what happens is guys are putting so much power to those hulls that they're actually pushing more water into the intake track it's capable of holding. So what happens is they will actually blow the back end out of the boat because they're pushing too much water because they have so much engine and so much torque. So I haven't struggled with that because I'm not in that class, but I mean, it's crazy. I mean, these guys, I kid you not, they're pushing 600 horsepower engines in these skis, and when you put that, when you're going, 80, 90 miles an hour, and you got an intake track that's, yay big, it's not a good ending at all. I mean, they end up absolutely just blowing the whole back end out of the boat. So
Do you get to test somewhere locally when you get your boat done and you want to go out and see how it's working? Is there somewhere you can take it?
Yeah, I mean, if it's just a small little test that I want to just go out and check the boat out, make sure all is good, I'll just go to White River. I just go to White River and back it down that ramp. But if I'm doing like a serious test, then I'll go to Morse Reservoir, and we actually set up a course there 2 to 3 times a week. We set up a buoy course, a small little course, just to get into practice. I mean, I put in a lot of hard hours in the gym, but there's nothing like training on the boat. I mean, you can put countless hours in the gym, be as strong as you can, but in order to get race fit, you have to be on the boat. So that's critical to me at the top level, is getting out and training on the boat itself.
How many events do you participate in a year? What's the series like? How many races are there?
There's roughly about 15 races, and they're race weekends that consist of 3 races throughout the weekend. So it's not just we show up and we do 1 race and we leave. So there's 3 races. There's 2 Saturday, 1 Sunday, and throughout the weekend, I mean, I'll tell you what, it gets difficult hanging onto a boat, that does 80 miles an hour and is pulling, I would say, right around 3 to 4 G's in each turn, and we're racing 30 minutes plus a lap. So you can imagine. I mean, it's by the end of the weekend, I'm fairly beat for sure.
So that's why you go to the gym.
Oh yeah. And ride the boat, yeah.
Do you go to Pit Fit by any chance?
I do not. No, I go to Shred 415. It's a high intensity interval training. So you do a lot of treadmill work, a lot of inclines, declines, and then I do a lot of basically a lot of exercises that include a lot of movement and maintaining a high average heart rate. Because when you're out on the boat, my heart rate is right around 180 to 185 throughout the entire race. So I wear this Garmin watch, and I turn it on, obviously, just to see what it's at, and that's right where it is. So those high-intensity interval trainings, I mean, that's really all I can do to try to replicate what's going on when I'm out on the boat.
Where all do you run? Do you run up in Wisconsin where the Dells are? I would think that would draw a good crowd. Or
yeah,
down?
we actually have 1 race in Wisconsin. Yeah.
Where is that?
Yeah.
You just get
You stumped me. We do have, there is a race in Wisconsin. I actually have the schedule on my phone. I could pull it up.
Oh. How did you end up, is it typically the end of the season you go to Thailand? I mean, that's a long way to ride a boat, let me tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, we don't ride it all the way over there.
I
know. No, Thailand, that's the biggest race. It's December 3rd. That's the last race of the season. And, yeah, I mean, everything, all the work, all the effort, the blood, sweat, and tears all adds up at the end of the race, in Thailand. I mean, that's what everyone's going for. And so when it comes time to go to Thailand, we crate up the boats and the containers, and we ship them off, and it takes roughly about a month for them to get there. So it's besides the racing, like, going to Thailand is just an experience in and of itself, to be honest.
Do you like fish?
I love fish, yeah. Love salmon.
That's a good place to go.
Whitefish.
It's a good place to go. There is a step up from where you are, the championship you won. There's another 1 or 2 classes above that?
Yes. Well, not really. I mean, so there's Sport GP is what I won it's called the King's Cup. But it is a world title, but they call it the King's Cup. But also, you can win the King's Cup in stand-up class. I'll try not to confuse you guys too much. In stand-up class and runabout open and Sport GP. So essentially, I could, if I wanted to, if I said, you know what, I already won it in Sport GP, I'm going to put that boat away, and I'm going to train on a stand-up and try to go beat the top guys in that, which would be really difficult. But
as long as you don't blow the back end of the thing off.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah. I mean, you can do it, but I don't know. I mean, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to be able to beat those top guys.
I would have to suspect that when you go to Thailand, you draw big crowds.
Yeah, Thailand's a big race. Like I was saying earlier, it's not, I mean, the racing, it's great, but when you're there, I mean, just the culture alone, going to Thailand, seeing what it's all about, It's amazing. Like, I have numerous photos of just some of the weird things that I saw because it was my first time there, and it was an amazing experience. And to be able to go over there, it was awesome. I couldn't be more thankful to be able to take that jump in my career to actually race the biggest race against the best guys out there. And it was a great opportunity for me, and I really hope to go back this season. That's the plan.
Does everybody go, or they take the top 20 in points or something, or does everybody go?
No, you can go. Everyone can go, but not everyone gets to race. They do qualifying, and if you don't qualify in the top spots, then you don't get to race. So
you spend a month shipping your thing over there, and it take another month to get it back home again.
Exactly. Yeah.
In the meantime,
and then you have to tear the boat completely down because you're in salt water, and salt water destroys boats. But yeah, you could go over there, and I could show up on the line and be in the top contender and blow an engine and not make the race, and I'm done. So.
Can you make a decent living doing this in this sport, or I got to think there's other ways you can do it, but this. Basically, does it pay to run? If you win first, second, third, there is money.
No, there's for sure a payout. Yeah, and really the way to work it is using sponsors to not necessarily just say, hey, come sponsor me. This is what I do, but make it to where you can do something for them. What can they get out of it, and really try to promote yourself in that way. Because that's really the way to do it. Because jet skiing clearly is obviously not as big as IndyCar and F1 and all that, but that's the way I try to go about it. Is what can they get out of it, and how is it going to work well for them by sponsoring me? And so at the end of the day, yes, yeah, you can for sure.
Now, your brother Connor told me that you had just been picked up by one of the major manufacturers. And who's that?
Yeah. So I just got picked up by Broward Motorsports. That's the Yamaha factory team, and they're based in Florida. So that is a huge leap in my career. That's been awesome. I said actually from day one, I went up to the team owner and I just chatted with him, because I knew he was the top guy, and I just said, I want to get my name out there. And I told him, I said, one day, I'd love to be on your team. And I said, I'm working hard, and I wouldn't say I was on him all the time, but so eventually he gave me a call after the season, and he said, I've liked what I've seen. I think we can work a deal out, and I'd like to see you on my team. And I was lost for words. I thought, that's amazing. I would love to be on your team.
To me, now, and these people are sitting here listening to you talk, and what struck me is you would be an ideal spokesman for Yamaha jet skis.
Exactly, yeah.
Perfect.
I'd love to, yeah.
What the hell's the matter with them?
I know. That's what I'm saying is yeah, I would love to do something like that, so make it to where, I'm not just, hey, I race jet skis, you sponsor me, thank you, that's it. More like, I race jet skis, you sponsor me, I do promotions for you guys, show up at events, speak for you guys, stuff like that. Because I want to be involved with these sponsors who are helping me out in my career.
Well, now, you wear various apparel, not a lot, of course, but various apparel. What about apparel sponsorship?
Yeah,
and spokesman?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Right now, actually, I'm working with Jet Pilot. They are my wetsuit sponsor. So when we race, I don't know if you guys are familiar, we wear like a full neoprene wetsuit. We wear a back brace. So just in case you fall off, somebody runs over you, it doesn't split you in two. And then full helmets. So, yeah, so Jet Pilot is actually who I've been trying to work with and say, look, I want to do a little bit something more than just have you guys provide me with gear, etc. I want to promote you guys more. I want to build your brand and maybe do trade shows, whatever it is, anything. I'm down for any of that stuff.
Do you do windows or anything in your off time? Wash windows?
No, I don't. No, but I love to work. It's what it is.
What are Gesundheit? Jeez, I hope you're all right. It sounded kind of serious. What did your mom think about this when you went in and followed into the sport that she was in and did obviously very, very well?
Yeah, she thought it was great. Like I was saying, it was something where I knew that she had been racing, but I wasn't like, yeah, I really want to follow in her footsteps. I know that's what she has done. I was like, you know what, Mom, I'm thinking about maybe racing jet skis. And at the time, like I was saying earlier, when we set up a course, they were doing that before I had even known what was going on. And I would show up every now and then. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. That looks like a good time. And so they said, hey, go try it out. Here's a ski. Go try the course out. And so I did, and I was pretty good. It was fun, and I liked that. When I would go around a turn, there was a ski like right there. I'm a pretty competitive guy, and they said, look, there's a small little event going on in actually Whiting, Indiana, and so I showed up, and I raced, and I had a great time. And then ever since then, I was hooked. I said, all right, where's the next event? I'm going to it. I'm going to be there for sure.
And you made this comment about being competitive, really.
Yeah, I'm very competitive.
Your dad was in Formula One and in IndyCar. Your brother's been in all this stuff. It makes sense that you too would want to do something.
Yes, we for sure have racing in our blood and a lot of competitiveness.
Now, is it easier for you to drive these things and race these things at what would be very fast? If I went 80, 90 miles an hour, one of those things, I'd have a heart attack probably. But what can happen if you fall off or somebody hits you? Can they break your leg? Or what can happen?
Yeah, anything can happen. A lot of people don't realize. Like, I'll talk to people and I'll say, yeah, I'm racing jet skis. We got helmets, full gear on, all the kit. And they're like, oh, why do you need a helmet? I'm like, well, you need a helmet just in case, when somebody runs over you or they hit you, you gotta have a helmet. So they're like, oh yeah. So really what I do is I show them a video. Of the racing. And they're like, oh, I get it. Okay, I understand. But I'll tell you a little story. So I was in St. Pete last year, and so it was the first race of the weekend. The race starts. We're all going flat out to the one buoy. It's a left-hander. So basically the shore is here, and it's a left-hander. And so I'm coming on it, and, there's water hitting me. You can barely see. Anyway, so I'm making the left-hander, and as I'm just getting in the turn, a guy hits a wave. Remember, he hits a wave, so when he's in the air, there's no control of anything. So basically, I'm turning. He jumps, lands right on me. There's a guy sweeping around and just runs straight over the top of my boat. Like, if I was, maybe 3 inches further forward, it would have been right here. He would have taken my shoulder right out. Anyways, so, long story short, I got hit, put a hole in my boat about as big as a frying pan or even bigger. The boat was sinking. So, anyways, what I'm getting at is you can get hit, and it's really dangerous. So yeah, that's my little story there.
I was thinking you were going to say you're making the turn and you couldn't see, and all of a sudden there's rocks along the shore. Here you go, Bang City.
No, but people have hit the beach before.
Oh, I'm sure of that.
Because when you're trying to read the water, and especially when you're racing the ocean, that's key, is reading the water. When the waves are coming in, what they try to do is they hop the wave, find the flat water, race as hard as they can in the flat water, then jump it, then go that way. So kind of going with the waves, but they don't realize that they're going like this, and then they're going more over here. Next thing you know, they beach it. And so that's, yeah. I've seen a lot of people beach it, and they just fly right over the top of it.
Oh, I imagine.
Yeah. I mean, it's
There's something, an effect, cause and effect. You hit a dead stop.
It's like hitting a wall. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You go head first into the wall, but now you go into the sand.
Yeah. And then the ski runs over you because, yeah.
I'm thinking I was going to do. No, I don't think I will. You're going
to try it out?
No.
Okay.
Is there a weight limit? I mean, can your boat?
No weight limit. No. You could get out there. I mean.
Yeah, I know, but I'd be slowed down by. Well, we don't need to go there. I mean, it's obvious. It's interesting to me what you did. Again, your brother. In fact, your dad said something too about it. You want to talk to Christian? He's racing jet skis. I said, yeah, it's fine. I have no problem with that. And then when I saw you win the world championship, aha, got to talk to him. What does this title do? I mean, when you come in next year, obviously you got a target on your back because everybody's going to want to say, I beat the world champion.
Yeah.
But what does it mean? Do you get any special things when you get to the race? They give you, I don't know, whatever it would be.
I mean, not really, other than wearing the number 1 plate on your ski. That's really it. I mean, just because I won, I mean, it doesn't make me any better than any of them, because anyone can win it, really. So other than getting the number 1 plate, I show up, do the same thing I did last year, go out and try to take care of business. I mean, that's really it.
Now, if I remember reading the story of your championship, you had a problem in one of the races, I think.
Yes, yeah, you are correct. I did.
Yeah, and you got to where you just had a couple of point lead.
Yeah.
I think you went in with 14. You end up in the final race at 2 points ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I went in. Fairly well. I mean, I would say I was pretty confident, but I knew that. Well, actually, let me reiterate that. So I went in and I thought I had it. Like I was like, you know what? I think I got this. And when I took the lead on the first lap and I looked behind me coming out of the first turn and realized that the guy was right there, like, you know, he was gonna give me a run for my money. So that's what really made me dig deep, and I started pushing. But anyway, so going into the third moto, I had won the first 2 motos, and going to third moto, I came around in the lead. Made about 2 laps, and I dropped a cylinder. One of the coils went bad. So it's a triple cylinder engine. Coil went bad, so I'm running on 2 cylinders. Basically ended up, I finished 4th. So I had a 1-1 and a 4. The guy behind me had a 2-2 and a 1. So in the points, it put me up by 2. I was only up by 2 points. So realistically, I had to win the next race. But the boat didn't run, so I had to deal with that first. But luckily, the guy who builds my engine, Tim Judge, he was there. He knew exactly what was going on, and we swapped out that coil, and I went out, and I won the next race. So,
did you put in a fancy coil?
No. That's funny you asked that, because I told my engine builder, I was like, look, you really don't want to know where this coil is from. So the coil was actually from an old race boat like 20 years ago that I just was like, you know what? I got it. I'm going to throw it in my bag. If I need it, I need it. Sure enough, I needed it. And it worked. Yeah, I just said, and I said, look, you don't want to tell me where it's from. That's fine. I'm putting it in. You're going to go run. We'll see if it works. Sure enough, it was good. It worked. So.
And you ended up on the top level with an American flag in your hand and a wreath around your neck.
Exactly, yeah, and I was absolutely ecstatic. It was awesome.
Well, that's neat. I was thinking for some reason you'd run more than 15 races, but I suppose 15 over a period of time, that's enough.
Yeah.
I mean, IndyCar only runs 17, so.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's 15 events with 3 races through the weekend, so it.
Yeah, keep you busy.
Yeah.
What kind of fuel do you burn?
VPC-12.
That's what I thought. That's what you said, wasn't it, Carl? VPC-12.
Yeah, VPC-12. It's just it's a clean burning, high octane fuel, essentially. Yeah. But C12 it's expensive. That's the problem. But when the engine builder says you got to run it, you run it. You know what I mean?
You mean it's more than $2.65 a gallon?
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah. I think a 5-gallon pail's like, I don't know, I want to say $65 ish. Yeah, $70.
And they have that over in Thailand?
No.
You had to take it from here.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll tell you, it's very interesting. I think that, and I know you probably don't necessarily want to hear this, but your name ought to attract some attention. You know, with the family that you have, a former jet ski world champion yourself, your brother and your dad, I'm going to see if I can get somebody of the local broadcast world that'd like to talk to you and get the word out who you are, where you are, and what you're doing.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, for
and
sure.
Maybe maybe Yamaha will say, well, maybe we should hire this guy.
Yeah.
He's really connected. Wow. Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
I'll tell you what, I'll introduce you to Howdy Bell. Now the guy, one of the, I know he's there. I can see him. He was falling asleep. Look at, he's falling asleep.
Sorry. Actually, we're trying to get I'm trying to talk to Doug and see if I can take my race boat out on the Speedway in the little pond they have in there. Trying to see if I can take it out there. Maybe do that, or maybe even put a race on there. I don't think it's big enough, but yeah.
Is it big enough for that? I mean,
I don't think it is. It's a little small.
You hit the gas before you could shut it off. You hit the bank.
I know. Exactly. Yeah, I told him just maybe if I could get a little practice out there. I think it'd be a cool PR stunt, maybe.
Why not?
Yeah.
Tell the world what you're doing.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. I have been very impressed. I appreciate you taking the time out of your very busy schedule.
Well, thank you.
Cutting grass now, raking leaves, getting your yard ready for everything. And wish you nothing but the best. And unfortunately for you, your mom gave me your cell number, so now I got it. You might hear from me again.
I'm totally okay with that.
All right.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hell, what can you say? The world champion.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Christian Daly. I hope my other guest is here somewhere, although I don't see him. Where the hell is he? Oh, there he is. All right. Thanks for being here. Good luck to you next year.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I want to remind you that if you need anything, you want to take a ride in a two-seater, there's a way you can do that. If you need anything embroidered, there's a way to do that. Stitches, too. They're located on Gasoline Alley. And all you got to do is call Fran. She's very friendly, loves to talk on the phone. So tell her what you got, and she can take care of it for you. Number is 317-271-3444. If you are a vintage fan, the next race, the one just this weekend in Atlanta, was a huge success. The next one will be April 26th to the 28th. It's the 2019 Social Historic Sports Car Festival, the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. So if you're out that way in April the 26th to the 28th, by all means stop by. And if you like vintage cars, you need to subscribe to the Vintage Racing Quarterly. Just go to svra.com, click on it. It's a class magazine, first class, great stories, great pictures, and it's well worth the read. You will enjoy the living heck out of it. You need to take a ride in a two-seater and find out what these guys and gals that drive these things and race these things, what they really are thrilled about. So get yourself a ride in a two-seater. You can call 317-243-7171, ask for Shonda, or you can go online to the IndyRacingExperience.com, find a date that works for you, and in the promo box put SJ1, you get a 50% discount. And if you haven't joined the IndyCar Nation as yet, you need to do so. Just go to IndyCarNation.com and sign up, and in the promo box put DONKAY 15. You'll get a 15% off of Champion and Legend membership. It's a great thing. You get all the information, what's going on, all the races, and you get some perks when you get there. Riding a two-seater, riding pace cars, all kinds of interesting things you can do as a member. Is it time to buy insurance for your home, your car, or commercial building? Do what I do and a lot of people have done. Call Mike Pardee at VP Insurance. They're located at 5004 West 16th Street in Speedway. You'll find you get a better coverage for less money. We've all found it, and it's well worth it. And when you have a problem, Mike doesn't say, well, he'll help you. He'll send you the right direction, get everything handled. Give him a call, 317-248-0070. And May is coming up. You want to have a company party or a family party? You want to get people in and out, entertain them? Call Tony Meyer. She's a special events professional. She'll help you. Give her a call. Her number is 317-515-7929. Now, my next guest is a young gentleman who has had quite a career in racing himself, and was a crew chief for his now wife, Sarah Fisher. They've been very successful, and she, in fact, Sarah drove the pace car for about a year and a half, I think, or she's still doing it.
She's still there, yeah.
Oh boy, okay, so
Part-time.
part-timer. But they have built and successfully and doing a great job with the Speedway Indoor Karting Center. It's a great place, and if you're out sometime for lunch and want to look at the window and get teased into taking a ride, it's the place to go, the 1911 restaurant. But they also had the opportunity to purchase Whiteland Raceway Park, the oldest karting facility in the country. The opportunity fell in front of them, and they took it. So we're going to find out how Whiteland is doing. And joining me tonight, I'm very pleased to say, here's Andy O'Gara.
Thanks for having me.
How do you have time to come here?
It's a good excuse not to have to put the kids to bed. So.
Well, they're past the diaper changing age, aren't they?
Yeah, they're a lot easier than they used to be, so it's not too big a deal. But
How did you get involved? Now, I understand that the previous owner of Whiteland was going to sell it to a developer, and I got to think that's a pretty good amount of money. How did you guys beat him out?
Really, it's just a timing thing. It just is one of those things that I think was probably meant to be. I was coming back from another side business that Sarah and I had out of state, and got a phone call at the last second that we had basically a couple days to act before it went to tax sale. And it didn't take a couple days. It took about a half hour, I think, to get everything on paper and fully realize, what we wanted to do. And I think Mike Swales, the previous owner, I give him a lot of credit for at least trying to keep the racing venue alive, because he could have taken an easy way out probably long before he did, and the place wouldn't be around. And with or without Sarah and I, it means an awful lot to us, and it means a lot to a lot of other people too. I mean, the more I'm down there, the more stories I hear, and it's just special. We're a unique opportunity.
Now, when you bought, did you get the carts that they had? Did that come with it?
Yeah, I got them and sawzalled them up, but that was about it.
Now
they were pretty rough, and I think Mike would even attest to that. They were pretty far gone at the time.
I know the last time I was down there when Gary had it, they were pretty far gone then.
Yeah.
They weren't exactly top of the line. Now, you bought new carts. You went over to Italy and bought new carts for the karting center.
Yep.
And then the ones that you have there now, poor Greg, as they're putting them together, getting them ready to use out at Whiteland, you're going to have those. So those are quality carts you got that you're going to send out there.
The CRG brand is one of the top in the world, if not the top in the world. And on the competition side, there's nobody better. CRG and Top Kart are definitely the top couple in the world. So to have the opportunity to work with the Tonini family on the rental kart side has been great. I think we're at almost 80 carts right now, cycling. So.
You got how many?
78, I think it is now. So between the fleet that we have on the road course and the fleet that we have on the banked oval and now the slick track, and now going to IMS again this month of May for the infield course and Whiteland, there's a lot cycling, and it keeps Greg and Tom and all the boys in the back, Justin, very busy. So we're lucky to have them.
How much damage do the carts take just in the Indoor Karting Center? Do they take a lot? I mean, when I drove one, I used to run into things.
I don't know.
They moved out in front of me all the time.
I think we're probably a pretty good R&D facility for the CRG brand. So we've learned a lot. We've learned, the impacts that they can take and how we can prevent them and how we can make things better. And we change configurations here and there and move barriers around. And believe it or not, looking throughout the building, when you look onto the racetrack and you think it's just a simple plastic barrier, throughout that concourse there's actually like 7 or 8 different kinds of barriers that are manufactured by 360 Karting. So we'll use a different absorption barrier in different areas and different length barriers in different areas, and it's been a learning process, and all of that comes back to how easy it is on the karts and how much maintenance they require. But I think CRG is getting better and better.
So in other words, you have a safer barrier in the karting world.
I don't know if you call it that. I don't know, but it's my office is literally right above one of the sweeper corners at the racetrack, and when I hear them hit, I still cringe every day, and it's been 3 years, so it is what it is, I guess.
Now, when I called Greg because I heard something was going on, so I called him to ask him about it, and I said, you and Andy going to be working in May? So, yeah, we're back with Dennis Reinbold again with J.R. Hildebrand.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how in the world are the two of you guys going to leave the karting world and go out there and spend a month in May out at the Speedway?
Well, I think it's a testament to not myself, but on the backside to Greg and what he's helped build back there and the people that he's helped get around him. My uncle Tom O'Gara keeps a really good eye on everything for the month of May, and Justin McCarthy and Rocky Pacciuni and my brother Kyle. It's a good combination there, and you really, when I walk away from that place, I trust them with everything that I have, and when we were presented with a unique opportunity to go back and help a guy like Dennis Reinbold, it's kind of a no-brainer. And the way the Indy schedule works anymore, it's only kind of a 2-week time period, so it's if you can't make it work for that, then it's probably not going to work anytime, to be honest.
It's kind of interesting that he brings back J.R. Hildebrand and Sage Karam each year, and they both are very talented. I'm surprised that either one of them isn't running a little more than once a year.
Yeah, I think it's Dennis is he's almost a throwback to years past. He knows what quality is in the seat. I think both of those drivers are plenty capable to do something special at Indianapolis. And when he approached myself and our group, it's been well over a year ago now, almost 18 months ago, and kind of gave us the long-term 3 to 5 year plan with the money that he was putting into the program and purchasing a couple more cars and the R&D that he was putting into the program, and walked me around the shop that I hadn't been in 8 or 10 years, and a shop that my dad and Mitch Davis helped start in the late 90s, coming from the ISM era into the Dreyer-Reinbold era. Man, it was just amazing how much things had changed, but some things hadn't. Like Dennis he's always been a stand-up individual. From the time that Sarah and I left to go do our own deal, he's been nothing but supportive of our efforts, and always a phone call away if you need anything. And when he presented us with that opportunity, it was just absolutely a win-win. I know how much that race means to him. I know how much he's putting into it, and I know how serious he is about his commitment for the next few years.
And how many cars he has to sell to keep it going.
I don't ask those questions. As long as the bills are paid, I know we're all good. So he's never failed me there.
Oh, I'm sure not. The last time I talked to him, I asked, would you be interested if the opportunity presented itself in a sponsorship? Would you like to run full-time? He said, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think he deserves to be full-time. He's got the talent there. Chase Selman, the general manager side of the team, and some of the guys up there that he's got, Dave Taylor and Robbie Ott, and engineering staff that they've built over the last couple years. I mean, they deserve to be full-time. I think they'd surprise a lot of people out of the gate right away again, as they have in years past, and hopefully they can get there. I know they're trying to do a couple races outside of Indy this year. Whether anything works out, who knows? But I'd love to see him get to that point.
Oh, he's got a sports car team. That's what all these guys are working on.
Rallycross, yeah.
Rallycross, yeah.
So what was Global Rallycross, I think, or what was.
So that's why he's got the guys working, and they're there to run the IndyCar as well.
Yeah, they have a few of the lights Rallycross cars, and they've done quite well in that series and won quite a bit, and they've brought up some really good young stars, and they've got Buddy Rice on the driver coach side. He's a lot of fun to work with, and to see how serious he takes it and what he brings to the table too. It's a good core group of guys, and the biggest thing I can say is it's no drama, and I love that. I absolutely love that.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, I've known Greg for many a year, and he learned from the best how to take a nickel and make it into $1. He's always worked and put out a quality product on the racetrack. And
I have the utmost respect for him for that. He's held every single position that you can hold, except for probably driving his own IndyCar, and I'm sure he's jumped in the seat here or there. But he's for what he's done in the sport and the knowledge that he has, he's still so down to earth and not scared to get his hands dirty on any single thing that you'd ever ask him. And we took him to, we've taken him to some of our bigger races, whether it be sprint car or midget related, and it's fun to see him having fun again in the sport, and to get, what he needs to run up front, because he's still got the knowledge and the base to help us and be, really instrumental in any program. So.
How much does Kyle run in a year?
This year he's probably got around 25, 30 races between the asphalt sprint car and then the dirt and pavement midgets.
Does he come to the shop every day?
Yeah, every day. Whether I would say 5-6 days a week he's there. He works SIK 3 to 4 days a week. The shift managers there work from about 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. So they only work 3 or 4 days depending on how their schedule looks. But and then he'll work on his race car a couple other days throughout the week, and probably a lot when he's on the clock and not supposed to be. But that's.
Well, it's something that happens.
No, he does a great job, and we just got we bought our first SR11 Mopar this week from Clausen Marshall Racing. So I think we've made some really good headway, getting rid of some weight in the race cars and adding some horsepower. And I pulled in this morning, and they were breaking that motor in the back parking lot and had big smiles on their faces. So I think they're having fun.
Is your mom still at the front desk?
She's not at the front desk, but she's upstairs with me. She does all of our accounting and tax work, and even a lot of customer service here and there. And she's my go-to for sure. And
what's your dad up to?
He's still running the bar. Just finished his biggest day of the year with St. Patty's Day, and he goes to a lot of Kyle's races and hangs out with the grandkids a lot, and hopefully gets to go to the lake here as soon as this weather turns a little bit.
Oh, you get to go to the lake. Oh, I see. So when he's gone, your mom goes there?
She's got a pretty good schedule. If she tells me she's not showing up at work the next day, there's not a whole lot I can do about it. So
well, that's probably true. I've known your dad a long time when he was a mechanic and a team manager and so forth. So he's certainly got his hands dirty and understands the sport top to bottom, I'm sure. Does he get to go to any races other than the sprint? Well, you guys don't go, so I guess he wouldn't go to IndyCar races.
He'll come out to the month of May and see us for practice and qualifying days. He jokes a lot. He really only chimes in when you ask him what he thinks about something or where you're at for the day, or even when I'm heading home from the Speedway, whether it's a good day or a bad day, I call him and kind of debrief. And a lot of times it's probably just to listen to me. He doesn't comment. Sometimes he does. And we joked last year because as you walk into the garages, I think Doug and all the guys at IMS, those garages, the floors had just gotten painted and the outside was still concrete. And my dad kind of thought it was like the Field of Dreams line. He wasn't going to cross into the garage or he was going to get sucked back in. So we just let him stay out there. But he I don't think he's come on race day the last couple years, but he's been helping with the kids and watching from the lake.
Oh, poor baby.
He worked there for 37 years though, so I figure he put in his time, and if he's at peace with it, then that's fine with me.
How's Sarah?
She's great. She's great. Staying busy, getting ready for the Whiteland season and pace car season. I think she kind of takes over for Oriole at the GP, and she'll do the GP, Indy, and then like 5 or 6 others. She's doing a lot of work with Bryant Heating and Cooling right now, doing a lot of promotion stuff with them. It was a past sponsor of hers and did a lot for her career, and she's helping them and helping me with Whiteland paperwork and finalizing entries and insurance, and we're working her and Marissa every day on that side. So everything's good there.
So when does Whiteland open? I know you've put garages up, you told me, and I remarked that when I went out to see Mark Dismar when he built his place, I said, "You going to put garages?" No, they would never rent. Well, pooh. Now you've built garages out there already.
Yeah, we weren't planning on it, but we had a good opportunity, and there wasn't a whole lot we could do with the older building that was down there. It was honestly pretty infested and pretty far gone, which is a little bit sad because we had a lot of memories down there too, and I know that building has a lot of history for a lot of different people. But at the drop of the checkered flag last year, we kind of cleared it of the inventory and knocked it down, gutted it, and we tried to go as fast as we can, but Mother Nature, and by the time you do permits and you get everything sorted with the state release, and then all of a sudden Mother Nature hits, and then you have the glory of social media these days, so people don't see any buildings up for a few months, and they're like, oh, they're going bankrupt, the thing's done, it's all over, the sky's falling. But we've got buildings up now, we've got concrete in. I think Harding Group is starting the repaving process on Thursday, at least in part of pit lane, and then the racetrack the following week. We put 32 garages in there, and I think we're at 27, 28 sold right now. We're expecting hopefully an average cart count of 150 plus entries for a 12 race schedule. We tried to start open practice this last weekend, but again, it was pretty nasty to get going. So we'll try again Saturday. We're excited to take our kids out there and have fun with everybody. So we'll run Saturday, Sunday for open practice, and first race of the season right now as long as Mother Nature stays with us and Harding stays on schedule, will be April 13th, the following Saturday.
When do the rental carts hit the track?
I'm not going to push it. I originally said May 1st, and I'd love to have them while everybody's in town. But with all that we've got going and the IMS project and making sure that we focus on what pays the bills on a daily basis, which is Main Street and Speedway, it might be June 1st, but it'll be coming.
And how many carts do you expect to have in the rental division?
We'll probably have at least a dozen down there to start.
Yeah.
So I don't know what we'll do on track at a time, but obviously it's a half-mile facility. It's plenty capable of probably hosting a dozen plus.
Oh yeah.
So.
Well, when Gary bought it, I went out there a couple times. I'm gonna tell you, I'm a rocket. He'd give me a lap start, and 2 laps he passed me. That's how good I was.
He was passionate about that place, and
yeah.
I definitely think that. It wouldn't be here today even if it wasn't for him and what he did to get it to that next level. And I've talked to his kids a lot since taking over, and I think they're really happy, and just good times.
Well, I'm hopeful that at some point in time that maybe I can talk you into a couple of passes when you get to the open rental series and get some people to go out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And of course, when somebody comes with a ticket, they'll bring somebody with them.
Yeah,
right, Marty? See? Marty agrees. Sure.
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
All right. Well, we'll keep in touch in the meantime. It's interesting. Do you miss driving at all?
Really, I don't know. I feel like I'm so busy that I don't get to think about it too often. I got in one race last year, the second to last race at the end of the season, and I don't know. I think I was 6 or 7 tenths off the leader, and I was another 15 pounds heavier than I am now, and I thought that was a real accomplishment. I was like, man, I told Kyle I came in, I was huffing and puffing a little bit, but I thought that was still pretty good. And if I get to do it a couple times a year, and even a 100cc kart, I'm a happy man. And I love watching the kids right now and being out there with them and just open practice with them and trying to help them learn. And I probably take more videos of them now than I ever do thinking about driving anymore.
Your kids like racing? Are they looking to maybe?
I don't know. I mean, they both love it, but we would never force it upon them. I think now they're crazy gearheads. They want to be out on their dirt bikes or go-karts whenever they can, and part of it's probably this horrible winter that just getting out of the house, but any opportunity they get to be in a go-kart, they're going to take it, and it's just fun to see the accomplishment of the improvement from month to month. There's nothing that you can do. Just a good reminder. I don't care whether you're running a go-kart or a midget or a sprint car or an IndyCar. There's nothing that can replicate seat time, and it's fun to see the gains that they're making, and who knows how far it can go. Or if my daughter comes home tomorrow and says sell everything and she wants to play soccer, a high five. That'll save me a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, there's somebody who will be in town at sometime this month and will be here who is going through that now. Her 2 sons, and I'm talking about Susie Weldon, her 2 sons are all over the country racing karts, and they're doing very well, actually. So that you just never know. I said, does it bother you? No. They're learning, and they're good. So you never know, Dad.
Yeah, I don't want to be the guy that pushes them in that direction, but I don't want to be the guy that holds them back either. So we'll help them as far as we can. And I tell people all the time, I don't, in the back of your head, you always think about the danger or hear about the danger or what could happen. But I worry more probably about the money and the politics side of where the sport is today than I do about the danger. I've seen people get hurt as bad there as I have physically. So it's tough, and it's rewarding when you get it right, but it can be brutal when you don't. Well,
since you own the cars that your brother's driving, not too many people can say much. They're your cars. You do what you want, and your way. I'm suggesting now, when somebody from the office comes and said, "Well, you think you ought to change," you can tell them, "Oh, really?"
Yeah, we still have. That's what makes it fun, because when you are fortunate enough to compete with and not that we have on a routine basis, but when you can compete with the Clausen Marshalls and the Keith Coons of the world and what they've done, man, it makes you feel so good. So, but it's a team effort. We go, Brad, Kyle, Greg, myself, Sarah. We talk about everything before we invest in a motor or we invest in a drive line or we make a move towards this body or this chassis or that chassis. I mean, it's still a team effort, and you know, we have to do things that make sense for the company too. We can't buy it all at once. So
that's true. Good thinking. Your mother does a good job of keeping you reined in.
At least for today.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what. I know when it was announced that you and Sarah had purchased Whiteland, there was a lot of positive feedback that I heard. They said, "Oh, good. You know, it's not going to be a parking lot or something or other." And I think the two of you, with the experience both of you have had in this karting and how you got started and your racing background, and then with the help of your dad, if he ever says anything, you probably will if you ask him, as you said. I wish you nothing but the best. I think you're going to be in a good spot to be successful. And the cart you got out there is about as good as you're going to find anywhere when you get to the rental carts. It's going to be good.
Well,
I think
thank
you
you.
have a lot of people out there.
I think you know, I've tried to impress upon people just to stay positive. It doesn't all happen overnight, and you know, we're grateful for the support of people like Mark Dismore and Newcastle Motorsports Park and Southern Indiana Racing Association and Ohio Valley, all these Midwest karting series that worked with us in our very first year to make sure that none of us had any conflicting dates, to where people can get out and run as much as they want to, really. So I think it's all going to add up, and I hope you know, we probably won't get it all right out of the gate, but hopefully by the end of the season we'll be there.
Are you going to put a series together against Mark and his track?
No, that kind of exactly the opposite, really. We're trying to incorporate that same, you know, couple hundred cart field within a 100-mile radius of the facilities and utilize them on opposite days. So a lot of times I'll run a Friday night show or a Saturday day show or a Saturday night show, and he'll run a Sunday show, and kind of opposite here and there. So I think right now we've got 4 Friday nights planned, 4 Saturday nights, and 4 Saturday days, and Dismore's are mostly on Sundays. If not, he'll run a doubleheader Saturday, Sunday, but not on my weekends. So that just shows the support and how small the racing community is, and we're very, very fortunate.
Well, that's good. But I still think you ought to have a series, you know, get your race
I
at
wouldn't
his
mind
place.
doing like a Triple Crown. Yeah, like picking a date at Dismore's and a date at our place, and maybe a date over at Greg's place, Travis Greg's place, and Greg family's place in Camden, Ohio, and maybe doing like a Triple Crown there. That'd be kind of cool.
I bet it'll happen eventually. It won't
Sooner or
happen
later.
tomorrow, but it'll be a lot of fun. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking the time to come here. I know
Thanks
you're
for
very
having me.
busy, and you know, I'll call you again when things get rolling out at Whiteland. We'll call you and see how things are going.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll bring the passes up. Let me know.
All right, we'll do that. Andy O'Gara. And when you're out at the Speedway this year, don't forget to look for Reinbold Racing. He and Greg will be there.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks for being here. Don't forget, next week, my first announced guest is the newest Hall of Fame inductee at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Mr. Bob Jenkins. Want to mention also, if you're looking for a vintage car, the Vintage Indy Registry and the Grant King organization have a 1977 Don Edmonds Auto Research Lindsay Hopkins with a Drake engine. You can call the shop and talk to them at the Grant King shop at 317-820-3595. And if you would like to take a ride and tour some shops, although it's kind of difficult in May because they're all at the Speedway, but if you come in prior to them going to the Speedway, you'd like to take a ride, 6 or 8 people, get a nice limousine ride from where you start and return you where you finished, where you started from, and tour 3 or 4 shops, it can be arranged. So give them a call at that number again, 317-820-3595. Thanks for being here tonight, watching and listening online. I was surprised how many people watch online. It's astounding to me. But I appreciate you watching. We'll see you next week. For tonight, saying good night. Thanks.
Have a good day. Anytime, buddy. Anytime.
Give Sarah my regards.
Yeah. I can still do, if you want to do SIK gift cards too, I can come by the next couple of days and I'll give you SIK.
I'll stop by there.
Whatever you want.
I'll come by for you.
And we'll make them spend wherever you want, Whiteland or there. So.